Well, hello and welcome once again out to A Goodman's Tale. My name is Joshua Goodman and I'll be your host today. As you know, as always, A Goodman's Tale is a place where we talk about the nitty, the gritty, life's ups and downs, goods and bads. It's a safe place where we can just have great conversation. Today I'm honored to have Pastor Jonothan with me, and we're going to get into his story in just a minute. But before we do, as always, I ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and let's go. All right, guys, so I'm so excited today to have Pastor Jonothan with me, an individual who we met a few years ago and began cultivating a relationship, but our roots go even deeper than that. My church administrator, Judy, who is also helping plant our first Filipino church in Fayetteville. Thank you, by the way, for all of your help with that. Came up in your ministry and under your mentorship. I am reaping the benefits of all of your labors. And so first off, let me say thank you for that. And before we go into your story, the deep part of your story, let's talk first about you have literally gone around the world. What is maybe the craziest place you've ever been?
Oh, the craziest place. I think I would say Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yes, I went there to just to visit our missionaries. It was a little bit scary at first because everybody's, why are you going to Afghanistan? But when I went there, I was really surprised. The people are so friendly, really? Especially the young people, and we help in one of the school there in Kabul University. So
it's funny you mentioned how friendly the people are, because in our American mindset, yes, we view the war.
Yes.
It's as though we have this misconception that everybody in Afghanistan is terrorists.
Yeah.
And that's an unfortunate misconception because, of course, logically we know that's just not the case.
Yeah.
So you were there ministering in some of the schools and
universities? Not, when I was there, after it's not, I was thinking it's not fair because Hollywood movies is showing them a picture of, bad and terrorists.
Yep.
I was really surprised when, especially when we went to the Kabul University, we met the young people, the students. Yeah. They're so nice and they're so friendly.
Yeah. And they're just students. They're not terrorists. They're not car bombing.
And even the people like the administrator of the chancellor of the school, they accepted us. Actually, our missionaries, their help in establishing the computer,
like a lab.
Something like that. And then we have a trauma doctor who helped in the clinic, because of the war, something like that. So it was really a great experience, and I wanted to always go back.
What about the most beautiful place? If you could say that was a place of just such beauty. What about that?
You mean another nation?
Another nation, yeah.
I would say Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is in Caucasus region.
Yeah.
And the people again are so nice. It's more on the people, but the view is
just
beautiful. Like Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan, the Caucasus region. It's all very pretty.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you this, and it's going to be interesting because Pastor Jonothan is a Filipino. My next question, I'll let you think about it. I'm going to ask you what the craziest food is you've ever eaten, and understand that some of your normal foods are crazy foods for me.
Yeah.
And I actually asked this question to Judy when I had her on the show, and she said sausage. And so I'm like, you eat like fermented quail eggs and So what is, in your opinion, the craziest food?
I tried crispy tarantula.
Tarantula. Oh,
in Cambodia.
Ooh, my sister went to Cambodia and she tried it also.
Yeah, we challenge each other every time we go to another. It's like a crispy crab, but yes, it's okay. That's the craziest I would say.
I've traveled. I think probably the place that has stretched my palate the most is China. I ate dog in China. I ate chicken feet in China. Grilled. I was up in Upper Mongolia at this. I mean, it was this tent city that was made of like plastic, just plastic wrap, clear plastic, and they had heaters in there. And you went in, you sat down, and it was something out of a movie where because they were just in there grilling everything. You know, every part of the chicken, every part of the cow, every part of the goat, every part of everything. And that was one of the things I realized in China is that American Chinese food and China Chinese food are two completely different Chinese foods. But anyway, enough about the food stories. Let's talk about your story a little bit. And we will kind of work our way through to the literal world-changing effect that you and your organization are having. But bring me all the way back. What age were you when you got saved? What did all that stuff look like?
I was in Portrait College. I was taking up civil engineering in Mapua Institute of Technology. We have our own MIT in the Philippines. And I was 19 years old. And there's this rock and roll seminar that was conducted it's a seminar. Rock and roll seminar, A Search for God. So it's exposing the dangers of rock and roll. Then somehow they try to inject the Bible there, and it's really amazing. For me, I love music, but not really into rock and roll, but generally music. So it really inspired me to see how music was really connected to God's plan and God's purpose, and so they expose it, the evils in rock and roll and all this backmasking. And then at the end, just your relationship with God, how it doesn't mean that you are religious or you go to church, that you have actually a personal relationship with Christ. So, and then of course the main thing that really struck me was in John 14:6 that I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So in all of the good works that
had you been raised Catholic?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good work.
We grew up, religious. We prayed Wednesday, Angelus, and everything. And so I thought that I'm going to heaven, but because of that message, I was really struck by, just all my good works are filthy rags before the Lord. And if we can be saved by good works, Jesus died for nothing. So that really made sense, And all of the things that I've done, it's just like filthy rags before the Lord.
All the hard work. It's like I put all this hard work into it.
Yes.
And it's still filthy rags.
And I thought I was sincere, but I was sincerely mistaken.
Yes.
It's just that I tried to be good. I tried, but it's not enough. That's why Jesus had to die on the cross for me. And good works will follow after. From that time on, by the grace of God, I was able to do good works.
But you're not saved by those. And that's
we're
when
not saved by good works.
When you come to that realization. And when did you again? You're in engineering, going to school for that. At what point did you feel the call of God on your life?
Right. While I was being discipled, I was just very new, just less than a year. I knew that God wanted me to go full time. I was about to finish my civil engineering course. Actually, I finished it like 4.5. It's supposed to be 5 years. But I finished 4.5. I was in a hurry. From that time on, I don't have any more failed subjects because I'm really dedicated to to give glory to God for my academics. And then at the same time, I don't know. I'm in a hurry to finish because and then I'll take the last semester. I took the board exam and I took it one time and I passed. But I made an agreement before the Lord and I said, Lord, let me pass the board exam and I will follow you full time. And during that time, that was the EDSA revolution, the Marcus regime. So it took me about a year for the results. So I had a chance to work outside in a construction company, Christian construction company. So the Lord arranged it all so that I can have an experience of work before going into full time.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was in ministry, and when I went to get married, my dad told me, he's like, you need to go out, work, for a year, provide for your family. before you can be in ministry. And so I went into construction and had to work, provide for my family for that year to kind of prove myself. And that ministry was not, it wasn't a way to get away from work. And really what I learned in that year of construction, I've used my entire ministry life, and so it's been amazing. So here you are a year later, and sensing the call of God. So where
I was in the short-term mission. It's the second church plant of Victory in the Philippines.
Okay.
First in the Gupan, it's a province, and then second one is in Tuguegarao, far north. And I was there when I passed the board exam. So the Lord reminded me about my promise. And so I went back and asked permission to my parents, and the Lord prepared everything.
Really?
My parents.
Because that was going to be my next question. After going through all these years of civil engineering, getting, and then going to your parents and saying, well, by the way, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into ministry. A lot of parents, especially with a Catholic background, would really, but God prepared the way for that.
There were, of course, at first my mom cried a little bit, but my dad said, since we are finished with our responsibility to you, because I said, you have great plans for me, I have great plans for myself, but God has greater plans for us and for me, so I wanted to do this. And he said, we are finished with our responsibility, so you go ahead, do whatever you want to do.
And let me stop you there again, because now in looking at all that God has used you to do, I mean, the number of nations where you've had an impact, the number of disciples you have made, churches you have planted, to think, right? By no means is your life over, but look from this time back to that time and all that God has done through your life, or you could have just been another civil engineer. Maybe a good life, maybe a financially secure life, but you could have just lived a normal life or had an extraordinary life.
In the whole Bocobo clan, my dad has an elder brother who's very rich, and he has company in Saudi Arabia. I'm the one that he's actually eyeing, to bring to Saudi or to US to be to help him in construction. So he's the one that is actually angry.
Because he's like, I had plans for you.
Yeah, my brother, spent time for you, and so he's the one. But my parents are really supportive, and he said, even cursed me. But anyway, it's not that. I know that the Lord has really. This is really God's call in my life. And after about a year, when I went to the mission field, also He supported me.
Really.
So, the Lord has really prepared everything, and you just have to obey and just have to follow God's call, and everything will just fall into place.
And so you're entering into ministry, planning that second church. At that point, God reminds you of kind of your commitment. Were you married yet?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet?
still single. Yeah.
Okay, so you're single, so it makes it easier when you're single. God calls you, and what does that process look like for you?
Well, when I went back, I asked permission, and that was actually I knew I'm entering into a life of faith.
Yeah.
I don't, in my mind, I don't care anymore. I just want to follow God.
Yeah.
I know that I will lead like earning salary and everything. So when I went there, it's really a life of faith, and I'm ready for it. I think God made me ready for it. So even our support in that during that time was cut into like 25% until it's gone. And during that time in that province, I saw God's provision in my life. Like literally, like I just have coffee and a bread, and then once in a while there'll be like fish and vegetables and the door. People are providing for the members. And that's why when I got married, I told my wife, when we were talking about like provision, finances, and everything, I told him, I'm so weak in doubting God. I can't because I'm looking back to that time where God has provided for me. Like,
in every
I just
way.
have to trust.
We would, growing up in Haiti, my mom would literally give away the last of our rice, and God always provided. The very first church my dad planted in Haiti, we lived in a 2-story house, and the bottom of the house, our living quarters were above, and all the bottom of the house was church and our Bible school. People would bring us coconuts and chickens and bags of rice and beans, and we were never hungry. God always. We may not have any money, but it was miraculous to see the hand of God always. Even when like I said, my mom would give away the very last of our supply, and literally that day God would provide for us.
It's nothing compared to serving the purpose of God and seeing people change and discipled. All of those, God will provide. Seek first His kingdom, His righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. So everything,
and and to be at a place where I'm like, it's not something I merely believe, but I know. I know that God will provide. I have discussions with friends of mine who they'll say things like, "I don't believe God still does miracles," and I'm like, I can tell you, I know. I don't just believe. I know that He does because of the miracles I've seen Him do. So here you are. You're launching out in faith. And at what point do you meet your wife?
Okay, I after about a year and a half in that province, I went back, and then I just concentrate on missions and just traveling. My wife is there already from the beginning. We were together in the choir before I was. When I started coming to church, she's part of the choir, but we were just friends. So it was 1992, 1993 when we have like 4 of us, group of friends that are always going out, and because at that time I'm so really excited about
ministry and sometimes people getting saved.
Yes, and I felt like I can put this aside. But there was really a time that the Lord, when I was prayer and fasting, I was about to lead a team to Russia, the very first team that we would be planning in Latvia. I felt like I was in the prayer mountain. I was prayer and fasting. And then the Lord showed me, I'm not really mystical, but somehow it's like big, bold marriage. Like, oh, I'm about to leave for mission, but
I'm not even thinking about marriage right now.
I was not thinking, we are about to leave. And then, the Lord impressed to me, my wife, Lisa, is a good friend. And so when I went back, I asked permission of our pastor if I can mention it to him, to her. And then I said it, because we're about to leave, I just said that, the Lord impressed you to me and something like that. And then I didn't say anything. She didn't even answer. So she was just smiling. And then and when we were about to leave, you know what happened? This is really...
Because she's so quiet too. I can see her just being like... Okay,
because I didn't ask her to answer.
No,
So that's why my pastor told me, you should ask her, And then, so I was about to leave, and you know what happened? The Parliament House was bombed. And so we were delayed for a week. And that was the week that I have to bring her out and propose to her. And she said, it's been a year now that the Lord impressed you to my heart. And if you went ahead and left, I would have forgotten that word. So God even orchestrated. He even bombed the Parliament House. That's how I say it. God orchestrated everything, for me to propose to her. And then, so I stayed there the intention was only for a month, but I stayed for 3 months because the pastor had to go back to the U.S. to raise the support. So he asked me if he can lead the church. So I was pastor in the church, and just in Latvia for 3 months, and then I went back, and then we prepared for the wedding.
Wow, that's amazing. You guys got married. What year were you married in?
1994.
1994.
December 17th.
Yep. Well, and my wife and I, we got married in 95. So that's neat. And now you're married, and how did that? Her coming alongside you in marriage, how did that affect your ministry life?
Yeah, well, at first, because she's an accountant, and she works for SGV, it's an accounting firm, and then United Airlines, and then WHO. So I just want her to flourish.
Yes.
Whatever God wants her while we're waiting for a child.
Yeah.
Because we agreed that once we have a child, she will
Raise it.
resign.
Yep.
But when we started the church, she's helping me, on the side. She's just there with me. I cannot do it without her. But still working, outside, and then I'm full time. So somehow, and then during that time we waited for 8 years for our first baby. So when we had our first baby, she resigned 3 years before we had a baby, because I think she needs to rest and relax, and then we had a baby for after 8 years, and then another 3 years we have a son. We have a daughter and a son.
So that's your personal life. I do not want to. I want to be able to talk about the ministry that you do now and some of the places. Tell our listeners today just a little bit of your strategy and places you've been to, the ones you can tell us, and things that are kind of you're looking forward to in the next year or two.
Yeah. So our ministry from the very beginning is reaching out to the young people.
Yeah.
We are the encouragement, the challenge is to disciple the next generation. Yeah. And of course, in the Philippines, we're a third world country.
Yep.
But since the pastors they're from America, they inspired us from the very beginning, from day one, that now you said that you're a mission field, but someday you'll be a mission force.
Yes.
During that time, we're students, we don't have passport, we don't even have allowances.
Yeah.
But they keep on telling that to us, and we believe it.
Yeah.
And so we were faithful in discipling the young people in the Philippines, in the campuses, and then later on we raise up Philippine missionaries and send them. So that really challenged me, to that we can do this. We can raise up more missionaries, Philippine missionaries, to go into other nations. We were inspired because they would keep on impounding it to us. So I got involved with missions, even though I was pastoring. During that time, we started a church, another church in Metro Manila. And then I kept on leading teams, short-term teams, and inspiring people, talking to people. I mobilized people to pray for nations. Aside from the local prayer meetings, we inspire them, to. And then when somebody has a burden for Japan, for India, for Nepal, I will make sure that I will have coffee with them.
Yes.
And talk to them. Is this really is your career? Is it full time? Are you gonna go there and help in plant? So I make sure that all these people are, drafted, somehow.
And they got a plan that they're not just going.
So I've been doing that ever since, and I kept on doing that until now. That is, I believe, the grace of God in my life to mobilize people, churches.
I agree,
we do mission challenge. I go to the provinces, the churches, even the mission churches that we have established in Macau, in Korea. We challenge them also to send missionaries, because that's the only way. Not only to all of us are called to go and make disciples of all nations. So it's not just the Philippines. So whatever was done to us by the Americans, we want to impart it to the rest of the nations as well. So all of us gather together. We believe that nothing is impossible. And it says, the Lord says in Matthew 24:14 that the gospel of the kingdom will be preached as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So I'm very much convinced that the end is not yet coming, although with all these things that are happening, because the gospel is not yet preached in all nations. There are still nations that have no
Bible,
no translation of their Bible, no presence of Christians.
And let me just I love that vision, because it's something I see resounding in your life, and not just through you, but through the testimony of Judy. When she came here, we sat down, we had coffee or something, and she told me her vision to be a missionary to the United States and how she wanted to do a feeding program. And you have this young Filipino lady who, who comes to the United States with the vision of being that missionary, and again, just what a powerful testimony that is, because now I look, Jonathan, at the impact that she's had. Literally millions of pounds of food that she's given away to the needy in our community, coming alongside and helping me with the administration, kicking off the Filipino church, all of these things. I see your DNA in her life literally on a daily basis. All the things you're saying, I see them portrayed in her life literally every day.
We also don't just do evangelism. We also do medical mission, relief operation. Went to Banda Aceh, after the tsunami, and then an earthquake in Nepal. The Nargis cyclone in Myanmar. So we are also doing our part in doing that, even though we are third world nations.
I want, and that's one area that I have such a heart for in the future. I would like to partner with you guys as you guys are doing those things. I have done, I did stuff with Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Mitch, the earthquake in Haiti, lots of, and so I have a real heart. But you go places that I've never even considered going, and would love to be able to be a part of those medical and emergency mission teams. What are you? Give me a little bit more of the strategy. You go in, you work with a lot of times on universities with young people. Tell me a little bit more about that.
We reach out. We do a lot of engaging first, because before we used to have just right there evangelism. Now you engage different activities to engage with the young people. And with the culture that we have now, it's very different now with the young people before. Young people before are radical. They're into fighting for their rights. But now it's a little bit different. With the digital platform. So you have to be very, very relevant. And you have to compete with their time, with their attention. So we could continuously looking for creativity, to reach out to them, to the young people, different generation, and then we engage with them, and then those who will be keep on coming, they will be given an opportunity to hear the gospel, and then they will be part of the small group. So we do one-to-one personal, one-to-one relationship with the person. And then we invite them to be in a small group, and when we train them, we have this what we call discipleship journey, where they go to spiritual family class, so they will understand everything. So full packed. It's not just you get saved, and then you go to heaven. You'll be discipled, and will help you fulfill the calling of God in your life, because we believe that. Not everyone is called full time.
No, but everybody's got a call.
Yes, everybody has a call. So like right now, we have a mayor in one of the cities in the Metro Manila. I saw him when he was a baby, dedicated in the church. Grew up in the kids' church, studied, discipled. Now he's a mayor and he's making waves. Godly mayor. Just on the news always. And I see that is just one sector of society in the government. And then we have principal, we have generals.
Yes.
We have politicians and sports. We have the PBA. We have the local version of NBA. We have athletes, professional athletes that are being discipled. They can be faithful in their wives, their family, something like that. So it is really very important for them, to fulfill. So it may take a long time, but we start while they're young, because they're the most available masses, and they are, you can invest into their lives while they're young. So we can be, the future is bright. When you disciple them now, it may take a long time, but hopefully we can see them in our lifetime. But now, this is our moment. This is a great opportunity for the young people.
For the young people, I agree.
And when we started in 1984, we're all students. So of course
we were the young people.
Later on they got married. They became businessmen, and then now they have now grandchildren. And they have businesses. So they can actually have godly principles in them, and so the future is bright for
amen. That's good.
Next generation.
What are you seeing just very briefly, we both been affected through the pandemic. Had to go to a high level of digital formatting,
Yes.
and what do you see, and what kind of places do you see yourself branching off or launching into in the next year?
Yeah, during the pandemic, because we are locked down, in our homes, and so what we establish is actually prayer meetings, digital prayer meetings, and then we connect to the missionaries. At least in our responsibility, because since you cannot travel, you cannot visit them.
Yeah.
So you can practically reach out to them and meet them through Zoom.
Yeah.
And then encourage one another. It's still it's still different from the personal touch,
personal touch.
But that is what we have now, and I
Yep.
believe that that's a blessing from God, during the pandemic. And so, and I think it's not gonna go away. I think we will continue on, and since now we are even the services, the online services, you can record your service, and now live streaming. So I think it's gonna be here. It's gonna stay. So,
Do you see yourself with the advancement, Zoom, live streaming? Do you think that will decrease your travel, or do you think you'll continue post-pandemic to travel as much as your travel?
we will still, actually, we're planning now, like the church plant. I think you cannot do it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and
yeah.
even you coming here to help us with our church plant, that's, I mean, such a great and timely thing, and I think it shows your dedication. And I think that, this is something that God has placed in my heart, placed in Judy's heart, and I love your dedication to being like, you know what, hey, I want to come in and be a part of that.
Yeah, and but the creative access nations, the places that it's hard to go or restricted.
Yes.
It's amazing that they are increasing during the pandemic because they don't have to go and be afraid of being caught. They can just open the door inside of their homes, and they can be a part. So people are kept on coming, and more people are attending the church because it's digital.
And that's
the creative
form,
access nation is really it's an amazing discovery.
Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting to see what impact that pandemic has had on the church in the Middle East, or the church in Iran, the church in China.
Yes.
It'll be interesting because I know when I've gone to places like China, and we've had to black out the windows and oftentimes cover our face because I don't have a Filipino face. I don't have the apostolic international face. You guys can go anywhere. Me, I'm in Upper Mongolia, and I stick out like a
One
sore
time
thumb.
I attended a prayer meeting of our churches in China.
Yeah.
There are about 1,000 people
in
the prayer meeting.
In the prayer
this
meeting.
is not a church. This is just prayer meeting.
Yep.
And I was surprised, and we have people there from Wuhan.
Yeah.
Because the stories before the pandemic. This is the Chinese New Year. So when the pandemic happens, they were outside of Wuhan. They were locked out in Beijing because of a retreat. So when they cannot go back, but they only have like 8 weeks the lockdown. So when they went back, the people's heart are very open.
Yeah.
They're telling us the testimony. We're so encouraged.
That's
That's
so
the
cool.
center of all these.
Yes, of everything. And everybody, nobody
many people died, but
Yep.
they said that people's hearts are very open. So they're testifying in the prayer meeting. Oh, it's so amazing.
That's very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, as always, thank you, sir, for being here, being a part of this.
Thank you for this time.
Yeah, I love hearing your stories. I love our partnership. Your dedication, your sacrifice, and again, just the strategy that you have used to. I think there's so much I can learn, and many American ministers can learn from, again, your strategy, your ability to go into places, willingness to go into places, and all of that. So just I commend you and honor you because I think it's great. I think it's just a power for a guy who could have just been another civil engineer. You've had a huge impact on the world. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Guys, thank you once again for joining us. As always, if you like it, like, share, subscribe. And you hear me say it every week, right? Go out there and live life with all you've got.